was about 6 months into my first year as a law enforcement park ranger out at Lake Mead National Recreation, just outside of Las Vegas. It is now midnight. Dispatch, this is 417, out of service. Thank you, 417. Have a good night. After a long, hot day in the middle of the summer, I could not wait to get out of my flak jacket, my gun belt. I was the last ranger off duty that night. I had a cooler full of cold iced beer that I just couldn't wait to pop open, that I had confiscated from some teenagers earlier that evening. You don't want that to go to waste. I hadn't even hung up my key yet when the radio went on again. 417, this is dispatch. Are you still there? I realized, being the new guy, it didn't matter if I answered it. I was going to get the call on my phone one way or the other, because at the lake, don't let this out, but there was no coverage between midnight and 6 a.m. So I got back on. Yeah? Said, 417, we got a call of a woman in the campground who's fallen and she can't get up. Seriously? The old commercial? It sounded like a joke. Apparently, an older woman had fallen over, and she hurt her back, and she was not able to stand. So I couldn't get in the car to take her to the emergency room or anything. So Jeff, the guy who I was on with up until moments before I called out, being the savvy veteran, he waited till I called out of service and quickly turned the radio off so he couldn't get pinned down for such a situation. So I had dispatch call him on the radio, told him, have him meet me down there with the ambulance. I'll drive the cruiser down. I'm driving through the narrow campground roads until I see a woman flagging me down. I get out in my Smokey the Bear hat. It's really dark. And she said, yeah, she's back there. We were having some drinks and she fell over and hurt her back. So I got out my flashlight. I'm walking to the back of the campground looking for a woman on the ground. There's a big motorhome over here and a couple cars on the left. And one of them's an F10 pickup truck. As I'm looking, I see this figure to my left, just inside the F10. I swing around, I see this man in his 50s, balding. Well, he had a 5-head. Everybody know what a 5-head is? It's a lot like a 4-head, only bigger. Had a fading tattoo on his arm, tank top, cut-off jeans, and missing a foot. And instinctually I said, how you doing? Resume my search for this woman on the ground. Meanwhile, I hear the woman behind me saying, oh yeah, she tried to get into the truck. That's as far as she got. At the same time, my mind's processing what I just saw, and I think, is that guy wearing eye makeup? I swing around, and sure enough, that's who they were talking about. And it all became clear to me. Since I've been working there, I've been hearing about Kayla, this one-time biker named Charlie, who was, for most of his life, belonged to a biker gang out in California, till not too long ago decided, well, he was really wanted to be a woman. So it had begun the sex change process. It was now going by Kayla. I heard this from all the other rangers, Jeff included, who was on his way in the ambulance. I was a little concerned how Jeff was going to handle this, being a bit of a redneck goober from northern Kentucky. From Kentucky here. Wasn't quite sure how he was going to handle this. Not typically the most sensitive guy in the world, but boy, was I surprised. He got out of that ambulance, and you could not have asked for a more professional ranger that night. He just treated her like his own grandmother. It was as if, my God, if this guy wanted to be a woman, in his or her time of crisis, she's a woman. So we get her on the gurney, load her up into the ambulance. I drive while Jeff back there tended to her, taking her information down. We get to the hospital, wheel her into the hospital, and 3 nurses are awaiting us in line. And suddenly, this look of confusion falls upon their faces, almost in unison. They said, one of them said, "Wait a minute, what happened to the 54-year-old woman that you were bringing?" I said, "Yeah, this is her." And again, in unison, all 3 of their jaws just dropped. And one of them. So she was in good hands now. My work was done, so I went back out to the ambulance, began cleaning up. About 5 minutes later, Jeff comes out, says, "Hey, did you know that was really a dude?"